Greetings from Tokyo. This is Daisuke Beppu. How are you doing today? I hope all of you are doing very well. I'd like to take this opportunity to touch base with you and to answer some comments and questions from viewers. Over the course of the last couple weeks or so, I have been receiving a number of great comments, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to reply to some of them, if you don't mind. Some of them I think are really quite interesting, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to reply and to just give my thanks, and also to make clarifications where necessary with respect to my own video content. So if you don't mind, let me just take this opportunity now. So the first person I'd like to mention is, I'm going to get the pronunciation wrong, so if I do, please forgive me. I apologize. I don't mean to offend you by mispronouncing any names here. But the first person is Infamathius. So anyway, Infamathius. Okay, so that's the screen name. Now, Infamathius, you asked about the Shameless screen entertainment Blu-rays that I have. Now, as some of you may know, I made a video about Shameless, and these are Italian grindhouse horror, action, giallo films, and so I really like them very much because I'm a big fan of that genre or subgenre. And so Infamathius asked me about whether these all were region free or they were region locked, or what the situation was, because these are from the United Kingdom. And so I have to apologize because in my head, I'm usually like this. This is one of my many shortcomings. I don't usually think about the region-free versus region-locked aspect of releases whenever I do collection videos. That's because I don't, as you notice, I don't go into the technical details necessarily, and so I apologize for not mentioning it before. I should have done so, upon second thought. But reading the comment, what I did was I actually went back and I just tested all of them just to be sure. Now, in Japan, as you may know, the Blu-ray region is region A, and so I believe that's the same region as in North America. So I tested it on my Japanese Blu-ray player, and of the, let's see, what is it, 9 titles? Yes, of the 9 titles that I showcased, 5 of them are region free. So those 5 are, let's see, so New York Ripper, Cannibal Holocaust, Four Flies on Grey Velvet, The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, and Torso. So these are all, these are all region free. So you should be able to play them on a region A player. And I was able to play these on a region A player. And in fact, some of these actually indicate on the back, not all of them, but some of them indicate all region. So I would just double check to be sure. Every time you make a purchase of a Blu-ray that's outside of your region, I always suggest, just to be sure, just to double check, just make sure you look at the description in Amazon, or in the maybe if you buy from a third-party seller, just make sure you ask the third-party seller, etc., or go on Blu-ray.com or DVD Beaver, one of those great sites, review sites, that goes into the technical aspects of them. So just be sure. But as far as I can tell, based on the copies that I have and my own machinery, those 5 titles that I showed just now are region free, which means that the following titles are region locked, which means I was not able to play them on my region A Blu-ray player. So they are, okay, here we go. The Church, The Sect, Almost Human, and All the Colors of the Dark. Okay, so again, these titles were titles that I was not able to play on my region A Blu-ray player, which means that I can deduce from that these 4 titles are region locked, which means you can only watch them on a region B player, or you'd need to have a region free player to watch them. Okay, so I hope that answers the question, Infamatheus. And if I'm so conscious of how important it is to pronounce names. So if I've mispronounced your name, I really apologize. And just, if you wouldn't mind, just let me know if you can tell me how to pronounce your name, Infamatheus. It's really great. By the way, I love your picture. Tim Curry, right? So very nice, very nice. Anyway, thank you very much, and I look forward to our continuing conversations. I hope that was of some help to you. Next, I'd like to give a shout out and thank you to Mr. Travis Levitt. Travis was so kind. Travis was so great because I had asked him if he wouldn't mind giving me some recommendations of films that he thought were, some of his favorite films. And he came back with a lot of great ideas. And he came back with some titles from India and Russia. But also, what really piqued my interest in particular, were some films that he mentioned that were from Latin America and South America. So, and some of these I understand are quite recent, so I haven't seen any of them yet. So just a couple examples that he mentioned were Relatos Salvajes. I think that's very recent, right? From 2013, 2014, something like that. Maybe later. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a recent film, correct? And also, amongst the many titles he mentioned, he also mentioned Una Mujer Fantástica. So this is the film, Fantastic Woman? Which I believe also is a very recent release. Am I mistaken? So I heard so much great things about this film, actually, and I really want to see it, but unfortunately I'm very, very terrible with regard to my watching and viewing of recent release films. And when I say recent, I mean recent as in from released from 2012 onwards. So I'm really quite terrible. And that's not because of anything negative I have to think about recent releases. I'm very open to them. It's just my schedule is so tough that I can't go out and watch films as readily and as freely as I was able to when I was much younger. So, but I really want to see this film, A Fantastic Woman. And Travis, you highlight and you remind me so much of the importance and my lack of, or the importance of Latin American cinema and South American cinema. You mentioned the cinema of Argentina, and you also mentioned the cinema of Chile, and also Brazil. You also meant, as well as other nations, of course. And so it's very important for me to explore more films from the nations of South America. For example, I know very little about Argentinian cinema. I know very little about, when I say little, I don't know anything at all really about Chilean cinema. I do know a very, very little bit about Brazilian cinema. I think I mentioned this in my reply to you, that my only experience with cinema from a South American nation is from Brazil, and that's because I took a class on Brazilian cinema way back when I was in college, and it was a really interesting, illuminating class. We saw films like Macunaíma, and that was quite an interesting. We also saw a film. What was that film? How Tasty Was My Little Frenchman? Do you know that film? And in the Criterion collection, which is one of my collections, or one of the films or the labels that I like to collect. What are some examples of Brazilian cinema in Criterion collection? Unfortunately, it's quite slim, next to nil, I'm afraid. The one that comes to mind is in the actually, I might have it here. Yeah, I do have it here. Yeah, I just happen to have this here because I'm watching another film from this set here, but it's from the Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project Volume number 2, Mario Peixoto's Limite, the famous silent film from the early 1930s. It's quite an astonishing film, actually, and it's an amazing accomplishment that the World Cinema Project and the Criterion Collection were able to release it like this, because, as you may know, it was it was unavailable, and it was very difficult to see, or difficult is meaning impossible. I had never seen it. I had only heard about it in my Brazilian film class, but to have been able to see it in this release is quite stunning. But that's just my way of saying that it's the only those are the only that's the extent of my very limited knowledge of Brazilian cinema. So I want to know more, and so Travis, your comment was very illuminating and marvelous, absolutely marvelous. I am so happy and privileged to have been able to have had the honor to have received your comment. It's really quite extraordinary. And so I would maybe ask for your further recommendations, and maybe you could teach me more, especially about modern cinema, because I think that there seems to be quite a there's an excitement in the air, is it not, about modern day cinema from all parts of the world. So if you can teach me about this some more, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, Travis, thank you very much. Thank you. This is really great. I just should say also that Travis's comment can be found on my video regarding Shameless, and so it's an interesting thing. I think he asked first about other labels that I was interested in collecting, and so I just, other non-boutique labels, studio releases and that sort of thing. And I just responded, I was very happy to receive the question, and I responded that I don't necessarily buy a lot of stuff that's studio releases. That's not for anything. I don't think I don't want to dismiss any of that stuff. It's just that there's just so much stuff out there that I don't usually do that. But I'm a little bit more discerning with my purchases, because I have to be careful. I can't just. I have to watch out for my budget and make sure my wallet doesn't get too slim too early, if you know what I mean. And then from there, he asked about, or I asked him, I think, about recommendations that I wanted to hear from him, and he suddenly just surprised me, very pleasantly so, with his comment. So if you want to read that comment just from Travis, check out the Shameless video that I did, and check it out. Travis, thank you very much. Next, I want to shout out Francesco. So, Francesco, hello. How are you doing? You were talking about the 88 films Italian collection video that I did. Am I right? I'm remembering that correctly, right? So, and you were talking about, I think, the film. Were you talking about two things? So you were asking me first about the Italian collection 88 films releases. So this happens to be Alien 2. I saw it again, by the way. Maybe I need to see it again. It's still not. It's not sinking in. It's okay, but anyway, you were asking about the 88 films releases, and you were asking about whether you could watch them in Italian with subtitles turned off. And I haven't checked all of them, but my recollection is that yes, you can watch them in an English dub, or you can watch them in Italian with English subtitles, or you can watch them in Italian with the subtitles turned off. You can also watch them, I think, in English with the subtitles, but I think sometimes the subtitles and the English dub don't necessarily match up, which is an interesting little project. I think it might be worthwhile to see the correlation or lack thereof between an English dub of an Italian horror film and the subtitles that are provided by labels like 88 Films and Arrow, etc. But anyway, so yes, so as far as I can tell on the releases that I've checked, the Italian soundtrack can be seen with or without English subtitles, and they aren't burned in. They are digitally imposed, so therefore they can be removed just by pushing the proper button on your remote control. So I hope that answers your question. But also, you had mentioned that you were talking about The Mercenary, and after I'd read your comment, I had to go back and watch The Mercenary, and I did so for the first time because as I had mentioned, I think in the video, I had not seen this film at the time of making the video. And my goodness, yes, Sergio Corbucci. Oh gosh, this is quite a stunning film. Very stunning. I was blown away. This is one of those great films. See it. Just see it. It's very, very entertaining and quite surprising, and just I don't know, after I finished watching it, I felt like, I don't know, my walk was a little bit more, I don't know, livelier. Yeah, I felt a little bit, just that much more alive in my heart. It was quite entertaining. Gosh. Anyway, Francesco, thank you so much for this wonderful suggestion. Thanks to your comment, you pushed me to watch this. I'm not sure if I would have seen it. Maybe I would have seen it, but not so early. But thank you very much for your comment, and it was really great. So thank you very much. Let me just leave it there. So thank you so much to all of you for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, I know how busy you all can be, and I know that there are many more things that one can do with one's time than watching a video that I've made. So I really appreciate that you take the time out to watch it, and I know that you're busy, so thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. And also the fact that you take the time out to leave a comment. It means a lot, so I really want to thank you so much, and I hope to continue these conversations going forward. And with that, I'd like to once again I'd like to say that I hope all of you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your weekend. Anyway, take care.